Your sound dropped. Okay, there we go.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Growthfit interview series. My name is Ashwini, growth engineer at Customfit.ai. Customfit.ai is a purpose-built platform, B2B website personalization platform, designed from the ground up on the use cases and challenges for B2B marketers. It converts the website traffic to quality leads by dynamically changing website content and CTAs as per visitor characteristics such as company size, industry, source, and current product they are using, etc. And also based on their past behaviors and interest. It helps businesses to understand what their users want and how businesses can help them find exactly what they are looking for. Today we will discuss course of marketing, digital marketing, content creation, public relations, and whatnot. Let's welcome our guest today. She's Tarah Darge. Hi, Tara.
Hi, Ashwini. Nice to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. She is joining us from Cape Town, South Africa. She's currently working with Time to Reply. They monitor, measure, and report on your key teams, external and internal email. This is really important for client services and key account management teams, sales and support teams, as well as inbound marketing teams. This is going to be a really exciting session as Tara is handling marketing department of a company working for specially salespeople or customer success people. So it would be a nice blend of sales, marketing, and customer success departments in this session. I believe.
Hmm.
Let's check some marketing lessons from her today. Welcome, Tara, and thank you so much for joining us. Really glad to have you here.
Great, good.
So, Tara, we would love to hear about you and your journey so far. What made you jump into this marketing world?
Sure. I started off, I've always been in marketing. That's what I've loved studying. I loved advertising and I wanted to be a copywriter when I was at university. And marketing seemed like a great blend of both being in the business world, which I wanted, and being creative as well. So that's why I was attracted to marketing. So my journey's progressed. I've done a bit of marketing on B2C side of things. I have been a copywriter with an agency before, and of course now I'm with a B2B company. So I've kind of seen all sides of things, and I find the SaaS space particularly exciting at the moment. It's just very fast growing. There's so much to be done. There's so much opportunity in SaaS right now. What I love about SaaS is also the community around it as well. I find it a very active community. I mean, even the fact that I'm speaking with you today, there's a lot of community building around SaaS, which is great. I find it a very positive environment to be in.
That's really true. Next, Tara, I'm really curious to know about time to reply. I really like the concept because it's really important to nurture your prospect by following up at the right time. So,
Mm.
how this concept came into picture and what all things you would say about your role in taking this product ahead?
Sure. So time to reply is a tool, like you said, it measures business email reply times. So it's not a CRM. Some people do get us confused with the CRM. We don't measure your typical outbound email campaign metrics like click-through rates or conversion rates or anything like that. But what we do measure is your business email reply time, which has such an important impact on whether you're closing a lead or making successful contact with a lead. And if you're in customer service or key account management, of course, that's hugely important as well to know that you've gotten back to all your customers in time and haven't missed any customer emails. It's extremely important. So it came about in 2013, I believe. So it's not even a very new product. It's quite old, but our journey has been very rapid in the last 3 years. When our founder, Dane Spear, actually started a lead generation company, and he was feeding businesses leads. and noticing something strange in that the quality of the leads could be exactly the same, but the customers of his who were actually closing the leads and having success with those leads that he was feeding them were only doing so if they were replying to them very quickly. So then he kind of thought, well, that's the key difference, is your reply time is actually the key metric that you need to look at. So that's how he developed the concept of time to reply. And it was actually initially designed as a widget that you could display on your website to say, we reply to customers or to leads within 5 minutes or whatever it was. And it kind of developed from there, and it's changed and it's grown a lot now. We have two different products, one for success service teams, and another one that's more angled towards sales teams, and they report on slightly different metrics. And now we've got integrations as well. So we integrate with a lot of CRMs, and we have a Zapier integration as well, which is hugely exciting. But yeah, there's still quite a bit of education around the topic of why replying to emails quickly is still important. And so that's kind of my role right now, is still kind of educating the market a little bit about why that matters, why that metric matters, and the impact that it has on your business. I mean, yeah, just some stats, like 78% of all new business goes to the first company to reply. So if you're not measuring that, and you don't know what that is, you're wasting your leads. So yeah, that's absolutely why we exist.
It could be a great opportunity for anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, replying at the wrong time or maybe delayed replies might wasting your leads and opportunity. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And what marketing philosophy you typically have as a team?
So, I mean, we focus quite heavily on value-added content, and we do believe that when your marketing's done correctly, you should be adding a lot of value to your potential customers, to your current customers, to your trialists. So we do put a lot of emphasis on content creation and just trying to like feed our potential customers the kind of content that they would find useful in their own businesses and in their own lives. So that's our philosophy. At the moment, we are actually in the SaaS Academy, so that's run by Dan Martell and team, and we're finding that hugely valuable in terms of tweaking our marketing approach and really looking at the type of content that we create around kind of key hot button problems that our customers are having. So what we're constantly trying to do is we're just trying to understand our ideal customer better all the time, and exactly what problems they're facing and exactly what pain points we can help to address, which I think is key in B2B because, we're not in insurance, but we have to deeply understand insurance. If that's a vertical that's important to us, we have to deeply understand financial relations if that's a vertical that's important to us. So yeah, at the moment we're really focusing on really trying to dig deep into our customer and who they are and developing our content around that.
Okay, so when it is coming to the content, and you have
Mm.
also worked as a content creator, right? In a
Mm.
past profiles. So how did you analyze which content would work before and after being published?
Yeah, so luckily we have a database of our own customers and our own leads, of course, and our own subscribers to our newsletters. And what we do when we create a new piece of content is we kind of stress test it with them before we put it out there in the world. So, if we create a new lead magnet around templates around a standard email response time policy you could use for your team, for instance, before we put a huge amount of paid advertising behind that, we'll send it out to our own database, check the click-through rates on there, check if people are actually engaging with that piece of content, get feedback, see if it needs to be tweaked somehow before we actually put it out there. So that's how we kind of see what's going to do well, what's not going to do well. And then, of course, we look at things like our search queries and our like results as well. What's pulling in our most organic traffic, where we're getting impressions but not click-throughs as well. I think that's quite an interesting one. So we look at our results all the time. We're looking at our analytics all the time. We're always looking at new keywords we should be creating content around. and looking at like where our customers are coming into our funnel and where they're dropping off as well. So yeah, we take a very data-driven approach to that. And then more recently, also trying to tweak our content for specific verticals that we know are going to be successful with our product.
So, do you think that personalization plays an important role when it comes to content and website?
Yes, absolutely. That is something that we are actually wanting to do more of. Actually had a meeting this morning with a colleague of mine about, we were really re-looking at our blog and going, we can't put a start a free trial button here and serve that, blankly to everyone. If they've started a free trial already, that wouldn't be right. So we absolutely are looking at dynamic fields as well and seeing how we can personalize that journey a bit more. So we've started that quite a bit, especially with our automated email communications as well. So we use HubSpot like a lot of businesses do to manage our email and really looking at where someone's coming into the funnel and personalizing their journey from there. And of course, if they're in a specific industry or if they're in a specific team or if they've got a specific role, if their company's a certain size, if they're in a specific country, these are all things we should be taking into account and serving a personalized journey to that person, which takes time. So I think that's the number one challenge for everyone is that, of course, there's a lot of time and effort. But if you can just start somewhere, and I think that's something that we've been learning as well, is start with one vertical as well, one segment, what matters most to you. So at the moment we're focusing a lot on our customer success and service product. So we're putting a lot of effort into making that one really appealing, really understanding that customer journey. And once we've got that kind of down, then we'll move on to personalizing our sales team profile and journey as well. But yes, absolutely, hugely, hugely important. I think you can't not do that these days as a marketer and as a business. You can't not do it.
Definitely. So that I would love to know about your take in B2B and B2C as you have worked in both the sectors.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, B2B, I find it's just hugely exciting for me personally. I find it like a slightly more challenging in the sense that there's a lot of noise out there as well. There's a lot of people claiming to be experts in their fields and certain things. There's, a million newsletters you could subscribe to. There are a million different pieces of information you could look at and a million different metrics you could be measuring and tweaking and adjusting. So that's the challenge for me in B2B. And then in B2C, of course, it comes with its own challenges too. But I really, really like the idea of B2B in the sense that I feel like we're serving people a bit more of what they need as opposed to just trying to push, a dress or a piece of a thing. So that's what I like about B2B as well.
And you have worked with startups, right? Any experience you would like to share working with startups?
Yeah, absolutely. I love small business. I love scrappy small businesses. I think it's awesome to be able to move quickly and to take charge of something. And if you have an idea, you can execute it very quickly without the red tape and the bureaucracy that comes with working for a larger company. So it's awesome to be in that space. And sometimes we can take it for granted because it's a little bit stressful and, there's a lot on your plate a lot of the time and you wear a lot of hats. But I think my advice would be to plug into community as well. So get involved in communities, use your LinkedIn to really, really connect with other people in your space, connect with people you admire who have similar job roles to you, or who are producing content or whatever it is that you love. Connect with them. I find that people are actually a lot friendlier than what you might think. You might think, oh, this person is rock star at doing podcasts or whatever it is, or producing, he's too far up in the sales space and I could never connect with him. But people are great. And yes, I think just
happy to
get out there.
Information and connect to you and
absolutely, yeah. We're all in this together. So I think it's not, of course, it's a competitive space, but we're all in it together. So yeah, reach out, make friends, make connections, and there are great things you can do if you want to form relationships with other companies, with other people in your space. You can share their content, you can join their webinars, you can participate. So as long as you're getting your voice out there and you're engaging in the conversations that are happening around you, I think that's the best way to kind of, make sure that you're feeling both motivated and that you know like what's happening in your field. So that's what we try to do. We try to attend a couple of things, whether they're in our specific roles or together as a team, on a weekly, if not daily basis as well. And then there are things like, I've seen such a resurgence in Facebook groups even around specific topics. So look for LinkedIn groups, look for Facebook groups, join them, participate in Twitter, comment on people's blogs, comment on people's posts on LinkedIn. Like just get involved.
I think this is the beauty of today's digital world, I would say. Like, a best example is ours, what we are doing right now, the session. You being in South Africa and I am in India, and we are connected just through LinkedIn or email. And now we are, with few emails, we are doing the session. Like, this is, I think, the beauty of this thing. As mainly your end user might be, or this is a salesperson or customer success person, right? So according to you, what are some of the creative ways to conduct customer or audience?
So we've tried a variety of tools over the course of the last couple of years that I've been with the team. So we found a lot of success with LinkedIn as well. We used to use a program called Growthx, and that would help us to really funnel down and find the type of the role, the person we wanted to contact, and then that would automate a series of LinkedIn messages out to that particular audience on LinkedIn. And that really helped us when our audience was small. So that was a good lead generation strategy for us when we were trying to build our audience. And we weren't doing a lot of, Facebook or Google advertising. So that was great. And that helped build out our email subscriber base as well. And then I think from my side of things, really looking at the hot buttons around what your ideal profile customer is struggling with and creating specific content around that that's not only going to serve that customer, but that's really going to qualify them for you as well. So it can be quite specific. And if somebody's not engaging with that content, they're not the right fit for you anyway. So you wouldn't want them as a customer anyway. So it's first looking at what the hot buttons are, really, really creating specific content around that. And then, of course, you can gate it. You can create a lead magnet around that. You can create a nice downloadable piece around that. And then from there, sending them on this very personalized journey, whether that's via email, whether that's trying to get them to engage with the demo with you. So we find those are the two kind of arms that work for us. And then we do things like we use another program called Lead Feeder as well, which is great. So Lead Feeder actually, it kind of like sits on top of your analytics, and it looks at who's coming to your site as well, and it profiles them like beautifully. And you can actually see things like, it looks like the number one type of company that's coming to our site is actually education, and you would kind of think to yourself, well, that's interesting because we weren't targeting education, but clearly, education companies are finding us, so that's great. So then we can create a specific campaign around that, or we can use that data and then target more education companies, for instance. So we take a very data-driven approach in the one sense, and then creating good content that actually serves our ideal profile on the other hand.
So that's how you draw the attention of your prospects and customers.
Yeah.
I know, Tara, HubSpot is your favorite tool, but any tools, platform which you tried in recent times, or are you a go-to person to suggest or try out new tools?
We play with tools all the time. So we've been using, of course, we love HubSpot, but I love Zapier as well. I'm a huge Zapier fan. If I can automate things, that is fantastic for me. I've been playing around now with Intercom a lot as well. So really, really trying to use Intercom the best way we can to customize a an onboarding journey for our customers, or to, prompt them at the right time with the right message according to an action that they have or haven't taken as well on our site. And then we've been playing around with Bloom opt-ins as well, which has been exciting. And most recently, our dev team and our product team have been using Mixpanel to really look at the actions that our customers aren't or are taking in our product itself, and going, well, hey, they're not actually using this report. What can we do to make sure that they know about it, or how can we better serve them in that? So yeah, I mean, we all have our favorite little tools, but yeah, those are some of mine. And then another thing I've been playing around with is Crossbeam as well. So Crossbeam, of course, you can see your different audiences if you're partnering with another company, which is really exciting as well. So if you want to do some co-marketing with somebody, you can look at your different audiences and see where there's an overlap, or if you want to cross-connect with potential prospects on both your sides, and you think, okay, well, that's, there's quite a good crossover here. Why don't we target this particular customer with a joint messaging from both of us? So yeah, it really depends. But those are the kind of the most recent ones that I've been playing around with.
So we are suffering from COVID and pandemic situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you also joined Time to Reply on when this pandemic situation started in Feb 2020. So according to you, what are the biggest challenges faced by marketers these 2 years, this 1.5 years?
Yeah, no, of course. So I mean, we suffered too, because one of our key verticals was actually corporate travel, which disappeared. So we had quite a few customers that were in corporate travel, and that vertical dried up entirely for us, which is a shock. And I'm sure that's been experienced by so many companies, where they had just a key vertical that was their bread and butter, and that if that dries out, that hugely damaging for them. So we had to pivot quite quickly as well. So I think the ability to change up what you're doing, to change your angle, to look for new opportunities, and then to help companies that were also, companies were going through their own problems and challenges too. So, they might not have been wanting to look at your tool because they're just trying to deal with how they take their team remote, or they're dealing with, this transition phase as well, and they're very distracted. So I think we found both of those situations quite challenging. We were, not a very high priority for some customers or potential customers who needed to focus on getting their business up and running and stabilized in this kind of very tumultuous time. But yeah, luckily we have a very agile team. We're all very agile. We're very used to working remotely. We didn't really have a permanent office space from the start, so we were able to actually speak into this remote working transition and help other companies around us and our potential customers and potential clients with that transition phase too. So we actually developed a time to reply remote product, which is more of a productivity kind of monitoring tool to see when your team came online, via email, of course, how often they were interacting, what their kind of daily productivity looked like, and when they were logging off again. So yeah, so we quickly transitioned into that space, which we were lucky we were able to do. But yeah, it was definitely challenging for us. We're starting to see a lot more growth again now, particularly in the last even the last 2 months, we've seen a big recovery, and that's just by nature of the fact that so many other companies are also starting to recover as well. So yeah, but I think in this kind of very challenging environment, it is good to remember that we are all in it together, and that the more we can help each other out, the more everyone's just gonna be okay.
I think these memories will be the long-lasting memories, I would say, as you work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other challenges what you have faced and overcome?
Sure. No, we're good. I think obviously just managing the nature of remote work can be stressful, in the sense that you never really, I work from home a lot of the time, and so you never really switch off, because it just feels like your work day just kind of carries on, because you're not going into an office, you're not sitting down at your computer doing your work and then coming home again. So I think as a team, we've just had to be very open and honest about whether somebody's feeling like they've got too much on their plate, or they're just working too long hours, or they're feeling a little bit disconnected from their team. Sometimes, I mean, it's wonderful to connect like this, but there's still huge value in meeting face to face if you can. And I think I missed a little bit of that creativity, that everyday conversation that you have with the colleague or with your team that often sparks new ideas or helps to feed your creativity. I did miss that a little bit. So we've had to become good at really communicating remotely. And then when we do meet, which we're trying to do now, I mean, our team is scattered around the world, but we do try to meet once a week, the team that is in Cape Town, and then we either Skype in, or we Google Meet other guys in as well who are around the world. And we do try to just have a no agenda, kind of just a team catch up, more of a social kind of time once a week or so, just to be feeling connected as well. I think that's the challenge for a lot of people.
So I'm coming to digital marketing a little bit. We always say that data is important. So what is your secret formula in designing paid campaign? Like what data points do you?
Yeah, so I mean, our data points for us at the moment, we're trying to fill our top of funnel. So for me, I'm looking at how any piece converts into a trialist. So that's my number one thing. So with paid advertising, of course, that means your click-through rate is the first thing for me, and then that trial conversion rate is the metric that I care about at the moment. But then, of course, I mean, we're trying to figure out our North Star metric all the time. So we think at the moment it's that trial to customer conversion rate. But of course, you've got other things like your churn rate, and you've got other things like your expansion rate too. So, but in terms of paid, absolutely, it's just trying to get the right trialist into the funnel for me. That's what I look at.
What is your favorite metric then?
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be my click-through and conversion rate, I think. Yeah, on that.
Okay. And paid or organic?
It's so difficult. I do both. I mean, I would love to say we could live in a world where it was organic, and I think increasingly we are heading in that direction, with third-party cookies being what they are, with data protection being what it is, with the kind of issues around people being very cautious around what they're sharing on Facebook now, what they're sharing on social platforms. So I would love to think it could be organic. I still think that there is a big space for paid advertising though, and I just think the way it's done is changing, and will continue to change. But what we do is, I mean, yeah, we try to pump our organic SEO as much as possible, and then we just tip it over the edge a little bit with a bit of paid. So we lean heavily towards organic, and we do a little bit of paid when we find that something is already kind of performing well. We'll put paid behind that.
Because you as a brand is really important when the customer is coming, like a visitor is coming to you by organic. So what do you think is the most effective way of increasing brands' online presence?
Oh, I think, yeah, absolutely. Be where your customers are. So be across your social channels. Yeah, be active as a brand in groups and niche groups as well. Yeah, try and find those niche groups. And then I would say get your employees active as well. So it's one thing that your company page is posting online, and that you may be doing some press around your business. You can, of course, you can do PR wide, you can do PR news, you can do whatever you want. You can post your brand things on every channel, but more and more I see that people engage with people. So the marketers that I really admire and the businesses that I really admire, they have their employees sharing that content. It's their employees who are really taking that forward. So, for instance, I love Demio as a webinar software. And And the Demio updates are great, but it's really the fact that it's Ashley, their marketing director, or it's somebody else from their team who's sharing and engaging and actually taking that content forward in their own space too, that tips it into that kind of like you're going to be more discoverable if you're actually sharing that on your own platforms as well with your own communities. Yeah, so I think that's kind of my advice. If you've got a small budget like we do, everyone has to just be involved as much as possible.
So, do you think that email marketing, what role it has in lead generation? As
No,
as you
huge.
work for a huge work,
Mm,
it really your software, your product is based for email marketing. So, what role
mm,
it has in
mm. Yeah, no, I think it plays a hugitely important role. I think email is still, I mean, all of us have email, and yeah, I still think it plays a hugely valuable role, both in awareness and in conversion, B2C and B2B. Yeah, so for us, we totally believe in outbound email, and I mean, it's still the number one business channel for just about everybody. It's very measurable, it's very controlled, it's not as invasive as, a lot of chats or a lot of social media. And yeah, so we fully believe it exists there to kind of filter your guys through the funnel, whether that's B2B or if you're in B2C, of course, that's absolutely like a massive channel for you. Like if you're not generating revenue through your email, that's a missed opportunity, absolutely.
so who is your mentor in marketing?
Ah, gosh, I have a few. I like so many people, and I'm always kind of like looking around at various people I admire for various aspects of what they do. I do love Dan Martell and his team. I think they're doing a fantastic job. They just address every single kind of concern and question and struggle that you would ever have as a marketer in B2B. And they do it from a very experienced place too, in a very real space. They're not trying to sugarcoat anything. They're just very hands-on and helpful. Um, and then, I mean, I love reading good newsletters too. So I like to catch up with a couple of marketing related newsletters like The Morning Brew and The Marketing Brew. And there's another one called The Click that I really love. And that gives me like a broad overview of what's going on in the world of marketing and brands, of course. And then, sure, I mean, I do love Demio. I do love Ashley. I think that she's very real, as well, which I just admire. I like people who are just very plain speaking and don't pretend that everything's fine when it's not fine. Um, so I think those are some of the people I admire a lot. And then, of course, in the kind of SEO side of things, Neil Patel's killing it. And I do like Stelly from Close.io in the sales space too. So yeah, I have different people I admire and different statements of things, and I'm always looking around.
Okay, I think we had a lot of valuable information from you. I'll wrap it up the session with your advice to entry level marketers.
My advice to entry level marketers, I would say, I mean, I'm a marketer who likes to learn about all different types of marketing all the time. And if you're entry level, you kind of have to have a understanding. You can't just be one thing anymore. That doesn't work. You can't just be paid advertising. You can't just be content. You can't just be, B2B or B2C. You kind of have to like try and teach yourself a lot of things along the way. So I think my advice would be to just learn, and then to like you said, pick somebody who you do admire, ask them about their journey, try and be mentored where you can, and yeah, plug into community as well. Just absolutely plug into the community. It can be scary if you're trying to learn all the stuff by yourself, and feeling alone, but you're not, and there will always be other people who will be able to help you as long as you reach out.
That's great. Thank you so much, Laura. It's my pleasure to have you in the
Hmm,
session. This is our 10th
great.
episode, and I'm glad that you were there in the session. I'll wrap it up the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in this Growth Feed series, episode number 10.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashwini. It was a pleasure.